Fine. If you're not up for it, please step back. I was there for a crucial competition that could promote a boss who had taken good care of me. However, at the crucial moment, her computer broke down. That presentation required a speech in French. Even though everyone knew the content of the presentation, without a script, speaking in French was a different story. Desperately clicking on the computer's power button, my boss Michelle pleaded, just a little more time, please. But the person in charge stood up, irritated. I don't have time to waste on a company that can't even give a proper presentation. Michelle slumped. That couldn't be the end, though. I had been pegged as a lackluster employee. I decided to take a stand in the emergency. I'll do it. I took the stage. The officials looked at me with disdain, but the moment I began to speak, I captured the attention of everyone in the room. It was the moment my stagnant life started to move forward. My name is John Miller, 35 years old. I am an ordinary office worker at a travel agency. Our company, which plans package tours both domestically and internationally, is vibrant with international clients, workplace culture, and customers. I value the opportunity to learn about foreign cultures without leaving the country. However, I'm not particularly outstanding at my job. While I find my job enjoyable and stimulating, I have no ambition for promotion and am content with maintaining my current position. My peers have been promoted one after another, with some already assistant managers. Although I'm genuinely happy for them, I don't envy them. I was aware of the rumors and backtalk about me not taking promotion exams and staying in my position without caring about what others think. Some speculated that I remain a regular employee because I'm not competent or lack motivation. It wasn't pleasant to hear, but staying a regular employee was indeed my reality. I ignored the gossip and found it too bothersome to correct. Despite that, the company has been meaningful to me. On September, during the personnel transfer period, new members came to our office from another branch. Among them, Michelle Johnson stood out. Transferred from a store in a neighboring city, she was an excellent manager, handling international clients with her youthful beauty. She was approachable to all employees, truly flawless. She was sent here as a candidate for store manager, eyeing a promotion. One day, while checking documents, I found a discrepancy. The name and address of a hotel listed for a tour were not found on its website, although it was on our internal server list. I wondered why. Upon checking the hotel company's website, I discovered they had recently moved to a different location. The document was prepared by Michelle, so I quietly approached her with the documents. Michelle, about this hotel. After blinking in surprise, she searched the same page to confirm. Really? I appreciate you noticing. Thank you. No problem. I'll update the internal list later. Thanks. Now, what should we do about the hotel? The new location is too far. How about this one? She opened another hotel's website and showed it to me. While we were looking at the computer together, something caught my eye and I pointed it out. This might not fit the tour's concept. It seems too high-end. Definitely. How about this place then? If we go with this hotel, there's a 3-month discount campaign, which seems like a good deal. Really? Good eye. She stopped mid-sentence and turned to look at me, her expression more surprised than before, tilting her head. John, you were just having a normal conversation with me, right? Yes. You followed everything I said. I honestly nodded, since I didn't recall the conversation being particularly difficult. It was just hotel searching, but all the websites were in the local language, right? Yes, that's true, and yet you understood and noticed a lot. Given our line of work, that's pretty standard. I kind of got what she was getting at. Nowadays, not many people make a big deal out of someone being able to smoothly read foreign websites, especially since we work for a travel agency. At that time, all the websites we were looking at were actually in French. So, John, you know French? It's my second language, so I can read it. It's nothing special. Wow, I didn't know that. The website seemed to have quite a few tricky expressions, right? You're reading it too. Anyway, what are you going to do to revise the proposal? I'll take care of it first. Oh yes, if you wouldn't mind. Understood. I excused myself and quickly returned to my desk. She seemed about to say something, but was then approached by another employee, and the moment to pursue the conversation further was lost. Later on, our branch was selected to participate in a competition. In this company, not only the main office's management team could join the competition, but branch staff could also bring forth their proposals for business opportunities. Michelle was chosen to spearhead a project representing our branch. Needless to say, it would significantly impact her career advancement. I was also included in the project team, probably because they found out I could somewhat read French from our previous interaction. I didn't think I would be of much help, and asking to be removed from the team would only make me stand out in a bad way. Since the competition wasn't about a tour in France, I doubted any major tasks would come my way. resigned, I attended the internal meeting for the competition. Moreover, one day there was a business trip related to that. Michelle was still seemingly doubtful of my abilities, so she insisted I accompany her. Upon arriving at the client company's waiting room, somewhat reluctantly, I ran into a familiar face in the lobby. Isn't that John George, the man dressed in a high-end suit, was a former colleague from another travel agency where I used to work? He greeted Michelle and me with a smile. What a coincidence, John. You're on sales too. Yes, glad to see you're doing well. Well, yes, but it was tough after you left. Is that so? No hard feelings. I owe you a lot, John. How's everything at your current company? Thanks to you, pretty good. That's good to hear. Remember, you're always welcome to come back. Everyone would greet you with open arms. Thank you. Consciously avoiding a grimace, I gave him a non-committal response. Does that mean your company is also competing in the Raven Group's competition? Yes, I see. Having a strong rival is troublesome, he joked before being called away. Michelle looked at me with curious eyes. Was that man from your previous company? Yes, he was my colleague. I see. You were quite relied upon, weren't you? I suppose so. I hastily shut my mouth after my somewhat sharp reply. She seemed to probe for the meaning behind my words, but I kept dodging her questions. The day ended on a positive note with our client, and upon returning, she dived right back into prep. Despite being my boss, she's not much older than me, yet her dedication to such a significant task, striving to meet expectations, was something beyond my comprehension. Sure, a promotion would mean a salary increase and recognition, but she already holds a high position. The merit of her relentless effort was unclear to me. Whether it was a strong sense of responsibility or simply enjoying the process, it was beyond my understanding. I've seen other employees overwhelmed by deadlines, but her drive, having everything yet striving for more, intrigued me deeply. Michelle, I called out to her, working past the end of the day. What's up? It's already past the clock out time. She looked around, surprised by the time. From the way she looked, it seemed like she wasn't paying attention to the time. I hadn't realized. Thanks, John. Are you heading out? There's something I want to ask. What is it? It might be rude to ask, but how can you work so hard? The competition doesn't necessarily require your participation. You've got other tasks, and getting a promotion wouldn't be hard for you, right? Indeed, she pulled up a chair, signaling me to sit. She showed me her personal smartphone filled with pictures of a little girl and what seemed like her parents. This is me. Wow, that's nice. My parents loved to travel, taking me to numerous places. The backgrounds in those photos varied greatly, from vast landscapes to historical buildings, sometimes even featuring hard-to-see animals. I've also traveled with relatives and friends during my student years, and of course I still travel a lot now. Each journey is a precious treasure to me. They all look fun. Yes, travel is fun. That's why I joined this job, to make travel more enjoyable than people expect. My efforts aren't for promotions or recognition, but to enhance people's enjoyment of their trips. For that purpose. Yes, of course, having a position is important. After all, having authority makes it easier to pass plans, right? She showed me a document she was working on, featuring beautiful seascapes and ships. Travel should be enjoyed. Just imagining people enjoying my tours makes me happy. She spoke with sparkling eyes, without showing any signs of fatigue. She was proud of her work. I do too. Yes, I also love traveling. The tour you planned, I'm sure the customers will enjoy it. Having you say that really gets me motivated. She rolls up her sleeves and turns back to her computer. When I say I want to help too, she shows me the competition's manuscript written in French. I'm trying to figure out how to convey my key points. Can we discuss it? Yes, well, making this expression softer it's easy to understand from an American perspective, but it might be harder for foreigners to get. Then, is this okay? Should I change this part too? Indeed, that seems better. And like that, I became so engrossed that I forgot the time and ended up working late. It was probably the first time I had been so absorbed in my work, usually trying not to overdo it daily. Influenced by her, I thought it might be good to broaden my perspective and look beyond just my abilities and evaluations. And then the day of the competition arrived. We were the 5th out of 5 companies to present. The tension lasted until the very end, but Michelle was not just waiting for her turn. She was learning from the other companies' presentations. Inspired by her, I also paid attention to the presentations. Finally, it was her turn. She went up to the conference room podium and placed her laptop on the table. We were waiting for the company logo to appear on the white screen, but after a minute with nothing showing, we realized something was wrong. On stage, she was frantically tapping on the laptop's keyboard. Please excuse us just a moment more, she said. Her colleague went to check on her. What's wrong? D. The computer isn't working? It was fine until just before. I'm trying to restart it. It looks out of order. Can someone get a backup computer holding her things? I rushed to bring a backup laptop to the stage. However, for some reason it also wouldn't turn on. It was charged, that much had been confirmed beforehand. If it wasn't turning on, it didn't seem like a signal issue. Maybe I should go back to the company to get another one. I blurted out in a panic. Another colleague dismissed my idea, saying it wouldn't be in time. But even discussing it felt like a waste of precious moments. Michelle prefers to store her manuscripts on the computer. Even if she had printed them, presenting a tour without anything showing on the screen would convey nothing. Are you ready? The moderator approached, looking concerned. As we explained about the computer trouble, a man in the front row, likely an executive, crossed his arms and said gruffly enough, "If you're not motivated, please step down. Just a little more time." We can't afford to waste time on a company that can't even present properly. There are 4 other companies we'll decide from. That's okay, right? The man asked a person sitting next to him. He reluctantly placed his materials on the table. At that moment, I remembered all the effort Michelle had put in over the past few months. How she talked about wanting to make people enjoy her tours. The time forgotten while she passionately worked on the plan. She had even gone on location to make sure tourists could fully enjoy the sights. There's no way we can end it here. I entrusted the laptop to Michelle, then stepped up to the podium. The attendees were chatting or on their smartphones. Nonetheless, I took a deep breath. Everything she created is all in my head. Seems the computer got a bit nervous in front of everyone, but don't worry, I can speak better than any computer. Please take a look at the first slide. The moment I spoke, the man from earlier looked up instantly. The CEO and other employees were watching me too, and they turned their attention to the document as instructed. Seems like my French got through. Where would you all like to try travel to? Somewhere fun, right? My French made someone at the edge who couldn't help but speak out. Can you speak French? I replied in French, yes, it's my second language though. Is that all right? Perfect, glad to hear. Maybe I should also consider being a tour guide. That would be wonderful. Those who didn't understand French were puzzled. Excuse me, I said in French before switching to my recently learned Chinese. I was having him grade my French, seems I passed. If I can get a passing grade in Chinese too next time, I'll be doing business with Chinese clients as well. The person I made eye contact with had a Chinese name tag. As expected, my Chinese got a reaction. Michelle and the others couldn't see their reactions, but my ex-colleague George and employees from other companies were astonished. He might be surprised since I couldn't speak Chinese at my previous company. Now, let's put aside the chit-chat and start the presentation. I switched back to French and continued the presentation, erasing any irritation from the participants with occasional jokes. I brought up the material and shared little-known facts about the tourist spots in the photos. On time, I concluded with a smile. The audience clapped as if they had witnessed a special trick. I had conveyed everything needed to be said. The rest was up to Michelle, and I stepped down from the podium. The competition results would be announced later, but on the way out, the CEO, Oliver, personally thanked me. I really enjoyed your speech. I hope you can entertain many more on our tours. I translated for some employees who didn't understand French, and they were overjoyed. After managing to pull off a success, I was called to the meeting room by Michelle. John, how can I ever thank you? She was quite down. Despite being fully prepared, the computer malfunctioned. She couldn't help but feel frustrated. As teammates, covering for each other is only natural. I really messed up. I talked big and in the end needed your help. John, both computers malfunctioning was beyond our control. They're still not working even after returning from the competition. Both of our laptops wouldn't turn on. We left them with the IT department to find the cause. I should have prepared the manuscript and slides better. Feels like a rookie mistake. But John, your quick thinking was amazing. To think you memorized the script. Well, we worked on it together, so... Not just that you use so many languages, you could speak Chinese too. Yes, in this competition I relied too much on you. I need to be able to do more on my own. She laughed self-deprecatingly, making me feel uneasy. Aren't you going to say, let's keep working together? What do you mean? I mean, not to brag, but if you use me wisely, we might win more competitions in the future. That's pointless, she said firmly. If I don't win the competition with my own effort, how can I confidently offer tours? It's because they're my achievements that I can be proud of them. Those words hit me like a bolt of lightning. She was different from any other colleague or boss I've worked with. I've been dodging something up until now. The reason for your language skills, yes, will you tell me? Because you're different from others. I've been moving from country to country around the world since I was young due to my parents' jobs. A lot of these countries were French-speaking, so French and English were both equally a part of my life. When we finally settled down in the US, I was shocked. None of the kids my age could speak French at all. They barely managed to read and write. I couldn't understand why something so simple was impossible for them, not realizing it was the difference in our upbringings. I used French openly as if it were natural. All the classmates were curious and asked me all sorts of things about French. As a kid, I found joy in sharing my knowledge and happily met their requests. Eventually, I accepted being used by others. It wasn't until university, during a group work for my German major, that I started questioning it. I was pushed to be the leader, create the materials, and even present them all by myself. When I asked why I had to do everything, everyone said in unison, because you can speak French. They thought if someone could speak a second language, they must be good at all languages. They chose the easy path for good grades, and their success was treated as a collective effort, making my achievements theirs too. That's when I realized I was being exploited. Despite realizing it during a mere school assignment, I thought it was more efficient if I took charge since it wasn't that difficult of a task. With that mindset, I landed a job at a travel agency. By then, I could handle German too, making me a valuable trilingual asset in English, French, and German. Initially, I was pleased to utilize my skills and take on a lot of work, but that satisfaction didn't last. It began a year into the job when my direct boss, George, asked me to create a proposal in French due to his struggle with the language. I gladly accepted, having been helped by him since joining. Pleased with my work, he asked for more help. Juggling those tasks with my own work led to extensive overtime, yet when our plan succeeded and became products, the joy made it seem worthwhile, and I didn't complain. The situation worsened a year later when I had gained some perspective over the company. George had been promoted to manager, yet I still worked under him. When I was being given more and more jobs, I tried to use my past documents as reference materials, and I was stunned when I saw past proposals that had been approved. His name was the only one listed in the report of the project in which I was involved. About 80% of the planning and proposals were mine. I heard that his business performance was poor until I joined the company. When I checked other reports and proposals, I realized that my name had disappeared from the creator column and had been replaced by him. He was in charge of the final submission to the top, and he was certainly the person in charge of the project. However, the ideas, interviews, and proposals were all prepared by me. He was generally unable to create materials in French. I looked for George, who was away from his seat, to ask him what he meant. When I spotted him in the smoking area, he was just talking to the manager. "George, the Paris story you gave us this morning was great. Wasn't it the project the manager was discussing was also one I created?" "Exactly. I had a local contact and got some insights. His words were exactly what I had said. That tour was developed from conversations with a colleague of my father who helped me a lot when I was a kid." Excuse me, unable to hold back, I approached them. George looked momentarily flustered but quickly regained his composure. "John, what's up? You here for a smoke too?" "No, I wanted to ask George something. The Paris tour you were discussing, that was my idea, wasn't it?" "Indeed, you helped out with that. Much appreciated." "Helped out? It was more than that." But the manager nodded in agreement with him. "A result of your guidance, George. Really, don't praise me too much, I'll get cocky." I tried to wedge myself into their congenial exchange. Not just that, but the Alaska tour before that and the South Asia plan before that were also my ideas, right? "That's not the right attitude," the manager suddenly scolded me. "Work isn't done alone. It's about collaborating as a team and achieving results. Hiding the credit is commendable." I was dumbstruck by his words. Did he really not know what was going on? But George was promoted based on the success of those projects, right? Well, he's the team leader. He's evaluated for bringing the team together. I was left speechless by another blow. Unable to say anything more, I didn't want to say anything anymore. With these kinds of people as superiors, no matter how hard I worked, I'd just be used for their benefit. My achievements would just feed into someone else's appraisal. My distrust for people relying on my abilities and those evaluating me reached its peak, and within a month I left that company. Luckily, thanks to my language skills, finding a new job was easy. That's where I am now. Here, there are no people like them to steal my credit. That's because I've been holding back on showing my full capabilities and keeping my language skills hidden. If all my efforts would just end up benefiting someone else's promotion, it felt futile. However, when it comes to Michelle, seeing you, I've realized how rewarding it can be to be acknowledged for your hard work. Initially, I wanted to make people happy through my job too, but somewhere along the line, I started caring too much about recognition. Leaving that company was the right decision. She said somewhat angrily, "Of course, enjoying your job is important, but if your achievements aren't properly recognized, it's natural to lose motivation. That manager isn't fit to be an evaluator." But I was also to blame. If I had communicated better with them, maybe things wouldn't have ended up like that. Then use that reflection here. There's no one here to steal your credit. As long as I'm here, I won't let that happen. What a reassuring thing to say. Honestly, preparing for this competition, it was genuinely fun seeing you work so hard on something you're passionate about. It draws me in too. If that's how you feel, I couldn't be happier. As your boss, now you don't have to hold back. Don't suppress your desires. Do what you want to do. Just then, her phone rang. Excuse me a moment, she said, pulling out her phone. This is Michelle from White Raven Tours. Yes, what? I'll be right there. She hung up, grabbed my arm, and we hurried out of the meeting room. What happened? We've found the cause of the laptop issue. We're heading back to the competition venue. Wait, the venue was the cause, more like one of the participants. On the way, I couldn't believe what I heard. Surprisingly, George was the culprit behind her laptop malfunction. After his presentation, he had hidden a powerful magnet under the desk that could damage electronic devices. He was caught trying to retrieve it stealthily by a staff member of the Raven group.